Africa didn't have to watch most of our fabrics leave the continent only to come back as expensive finished clothes? What if we steward our fabrics, our creativity, our factories into a fashion industry we actually own? I came across a proposal that explored exactly that, and it flipped the way that I see the African fashion supply chain. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Linda Mdlalose and I am a communication scholar, researcher, and storyteller exploring African fashion, history, identity, and culture. If this is your first time here, then welcome. Feel free to explore the other videos on this channel, and if you like these topics, please do subscribe. And without wasting any more time, let's get into it. Okay, so the idea suggests that Africa could build one huge fashion supply chain across the continent, where different regions specialize instead of working alone. Senegal or Ghana could focus on textile development and produce the fabrics. Nigeria could operate large-scale industrial factories. Kenyan or Ethiopian ports and road networks could handle logistics. South African banks and investment systems could fund the growth. In other words, the entire fashion process could happen here, from fiber to fabric to factory to export. Instead of outsourcing to Asia, the entire process, from materials to production to movement, could happen here inside the continent. Basically, one system, many countries, shared power. This proposal argues that instead of each African country trying to do everything alone, the continent could specialize and actually build strength through cooperation. If this worked, it could reduce production costs, create real global competitiveness, and form a real industrial fashion economy instead of just creative design pockets. So that's the vision, a unified African fashion machine instead of isolated national efforts. There are serious strengths to this idea. Shared skills and resources would mean that countries no longer carry the burden alone. They could combine strengths and knowledge. Africa would gain a higher bargaining power internationally and could negotiate from strength rather than dependency. This could reduce our reliance on Asia, allowing us to stop shipping our raw cotton away cheaply and buying it back as expensive clothing. This could also introduce more industrial jobs, drivers, engineers, welders, machine operators. And African textiles could finally be produced at scale and not just at artisan level. But the weaknesses are real too. Africa has 54 nations with different policies and trade laws. That alone makes cross-border cooperation complicated. Infrastructure and energy shortages are real too. Many regions face unstable roads, ports, and power. Informal economies also limit scale. A huge portion of African trade happens through cash systems, unregistered businesses, and verbal agreements. Because not everything is recorded, taxed, or regulated, it becomes extremely difficult to manage cross border movement, pricing, and accountability at large. For example, many textile sellers operate without formal invoices and digital records. That can work locally, but it becomes complicated when you're trying to export between multiple countries under one system. Also, corruption and customs manipulation can delay goods and shut down efficiency. And finally, national identity and competition will always be a tension. Some countries may prefer to lead instead of partner. So, in short, this idea looks great on paper and it could work, but it does get complicated in real life. Maybe the problem isn't the vision, but the scale and the speed. Instead of trying to build one continent wide African fashion system overnight, maybe the approach could be regional African supply chains first. Strong regional systems could grow first and then connect on a continental scale over time. The regional model begins with regional production clusters built around existing trade relationships, infrastructure, and political realities. Regional clusters reduce the number of borders goods must cross, lower customs friction and corruption exposure, and make accountability more realistic. Failure is contained, success is repeatable. This isn't about lowering ambition, it's about designing systems that can survive contact with reality. Africa has a large informal economy, which exists because formal systems are often inaccessible, expensive, or hostile. So instead of forcing informal businesses to formalize overnight, this model layers formality on top of informal labor. Small producers participate by joining registered cooperatives and regional production hubs. These cooperatives and production hubs carry compliance, logistics, and export requirements, while individuals retain ownership and income. Formalization follows stability and not the other way round. Another thing to consider is Africa's infrastructure problems, especially unstable electricity. So instead of spreading production thinly and hoping national grids improve, this model concentrates production in energy secure zones. These zones use solar power with battery storage, gas or hybrid systems, dedicated power prioritized for factories. This doesn't solve electricity everywhere, but it does guarantee reliability where production happens, which is how industrialization has always worked. To make this concrete, imagine a Southern African cotton and denim corridor within the Southern African Development Community region. Countries like Tanzania, Zambia, and Zimbabwe are major cotton producers, supporting millions of smallholder farms. Other countries like Mozambique, Malawi, Botswana, Eswatini, and South Africa also produce cotton at varying scales. South Africa, meanwhile, has one of the largest textile and clothing industries, but does not grow enough cotton to meet demand. It already imports cotton lint from neighboring countries, so regional dependence is not theoretical, it exists. Many cotton farmers operate informally, so instead of forcing individual formalization, farmers join regionally registered cooperatives. Cotton is then weighed, graded, and digitally recorded as it enters the system. Ginning and processing happen near production zones. Fabric and denim manufacturing are concentrated in energy-secure industrial hubs such as South Africa and Lesotho. Small informal garment producers rent machine time, gaining access to stable electricity, industrial equipment, and shared quality standards without taking on unmanageable debts. Finished garments are digitally tagged, making cross-border movements more predictable and reducing customs manipulation. Only once consistency and trust are established does finance scale, allowing informal producers to benefit from stable demand rather than risky loans. This model isn't perfect. Regional politics can fracture, power imbalances can emerge, and some regions will move faster than others. But failure here is local, not continental, and success is replicable. And there you have it, guys. Do you think Africa could ever unify its fashion economy? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Feel free to check out the other videos on this channel. And if you like what we've got going on this side of life, please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.